We have started the recording. So welcome everyone. My name is Christina Sweet. I'm the Compliance Director at the Vermont Community Broadband Board in the Department of Public Service, and wanted to welcome you to today's webinar where we will cover how we will be revising our Broadband Equity Access and Deployment, or BEAD, Request for Applications in Program to align with the BEAD Restructuring Policy Notice published by the National Telecommunications and Information Administration on June 6th. So today we're going to discuss key changes we'll be making to the RFA, our updated program timeline, an important requirement that is new to the program, which is the letter of intent. And after today's webinar, you'll have an opportunity to ask questions, and you can also find more information, including our full timeline, letter of intent instructions, and additional resources, plus an opportunity to enter public comments and questions on our website, which you can find in the chat. So throughout the session, feel free to put your questions or comments in the chat, or you can hold your comments until the end of the webinar. But thanks again for joining us today. I know that BEAD is a huge program and there have been a lot of changes pending. So I hope we can answer as many questions as possible today. So I'm going to pass it off to our colleague Jen Wade at RSM to provide an overview of the changes that we're making in Vermont. Thank you.
Thank you, Kay. So today we're going to cover, as Kay mentioned, a general overview of the policy notice, the changes to the program, the benefit of the bargain round, a tentative timeline, and the letter of intent process, and some next steps. As you know, the National Telecommunications and Information Administration released a policy notice on June 6th to restructure the BEAD program. This policy notice does supersede all previous BEAD guidance, including the original BEAD notice of funding and the telecommunications guidance that was also published. Vermont is fully conforming to the policy notice, and throughout the next couple of weeks, we'll be updating the VT-BEAD program to reflect the new eligibility and evaluation criteria, the streamlined compliance and permitting process, and a new competitive process for all providers that within the policy notice is referred to as the benefit of the bargain round. Just a general note here, permitting is an element that we will address at a later stage in the process. So at this current time, there's no permitting related items required from applicants. Again, just to have a general overview of the policy update for the priority broadband projects category, any applicant may ask for its proposal to be treated as a priority broadband project, regardless of the technology type. It does have to meet all the technical requirements and provide supporting documentation to Vermont to assess that the network meets the IIJA priority broadband project standards. The term priority broadband projects for this means a project that provides broadband service of speeds of no less than 100 megabits per second for downloads and 20 for uploads, has a latency less than or equal to 100, can easily scale speeds over time to meet evolving connectivity needs to households and businesses, and supports the deployment of 5G, successor wireless technologies, and other advanced services. The states will determine if the proposal is a broadband priority project, but cannot categorically exclude any technology type during the application process. And a priority broadband project eligibility must be considered per project area. As I mentioned earlier, the evaluation criteria has changed with this policy notice. So Vermont is now updating and revising scoring criteria to focus on cost minimization. And in deciding among competitive applications covering the same project areas, Vermont must typically choose the option with the lowest cost based on the minimum outlay for this benefit of the bargain round. Secondary criteria are used when applications in the same project area propose projects within a cost of 15% of the lowest cost. And VCBB will be incorporating new questions into the application process that require the applicants to demonstrate, again, as I mentioned earlier, that they meet the priority broadband standard. And just to give you a little preview of what's to come, these evaluation criteria updates will be outlined in an updated RFA, which we're planning to post on July 2nd. We will also, because this is a general overview of the policy notice updates, we're going to host a informational session on July 9th at 1 p.m. to walk through the changes to the RFA, to the application process, and to answer more questions specific to that application process and the evaluation criteria. Next slide, please. Thank you. Again, this new round is called the benefit of the bargain round. It's NTIA is requiring eligible entities to conduct at least one additional round called the benefit of the bargain round. It must have a technology neutral approach. So it must, again, permit all applicants regarding of technology type and deployment and standard installation requirements here, regardless of the technology utilized. All awarded subgrantees must deploy the planned broadband network and be able to perform a standard installation for each customer that desires service in the project area no later than 4 years after receiving the subgrant. For the standard installation is the initiation by a provider of fixed broadband internet access service within 10 business days of a request, with no changes or delays attributable to the extension of the network of the provider. Organization that, this is a big note for anyone who participated in the prior rounds. Any organization that did apply in a previous round for VT-BEAD must submit a new application under the benefit of the bargain round, since prior submissions will not carry over into this round. However, applicants that did apply previously may reference and reuse their data from the previous applications when completing the submission of the benefit of the bargain round. So you can go into AmpliFund, you can copy and paste the content from your previous application from the previous round into the new application. However, there will be new questions and requirements that must be addressed in the benefit of the bargain application round. Next slide, please. Thank you. This is, again, I'll highlight this as a tentative timeline. This timeline is set by NTIA and reflects the updates that are introduced in the revised policy notice, but are also subject to change based on a number of factors to include approval by NTIA. So June 26, 2025, the letter of intent window opens. July 3rd, letter of intent window closes. The 9th is when we'll do the RFA webinar that I mentioned. And the benefit of the bargain round will open July 10th and then close on July 18th. Provisional subrecipients will be notified of awards on July 28th, with negotiation cycle of this benefit of the bargain round opening July 29th, closing on August 12th. On August 13th, provisional subrecipients may be notified of awards under the benefit of the bargain round. And August 20th, public comment window on VT-BEAD final proposal will open. September 3rd, public comment window will close, and the submission of the final proposal to NTIA is required to be submitted by September 4th. As I mentioned, this round will include a letter of intent process. So applicants must submit a formal statement expressing your organization's intent to apply for the VT-BEAD benefit of the bargain round, utilizing the VT-BEAD letter of intent template. You will have 5 business days from June 26 to complete and submit the LOI to the email listed here, vcbb.bead@vermont.gov. The letter of intent has a couple of components that have to be included. It has to state the intent to apply for the benefit of the bargain round, the final project areas for which you intend to submit a proposal, the proposed project technology types to be deployed in the project areas, the estimated network speeds, and a signature from an authorized representative of your organization. And I do want to highlight that every applicant, again, must submit this by the deadline stated. Even if you did participate in the first round, this is a new round. So anyone who would like to participate in the benefit of the bargain would need to submit this letter of intent. So for next steps, during the benefit of the bargain round, project boundaries will remain fixed. However, the eligible locations within those project areas may change. VCBB may remove locations from the final project areas pending the unlicensed fixed wireless review. So please continue to monitor the updated list of the VT-BEAD eligible locations. We will include the link here. It's also on the website. And be sure that when you are submitting an application for the benefit of the bargain round, that you account for the updated locations within those final project areas in your application submission. Next slide, please. Again, letter of intent, all of the applicants must submit this letter of intent by, again, July 3rd to participate in the benefit of the bargain round. So prepare and submit the letter of intent in alignment with the published template. Make sure you've submitted that by the deadline if you wish to participate. Next slide, please. And again, to highlight, even if you participated in a previous round and have an application there, you do have to resubmit or submit for this benefit of the bargain round, considering an entirely new application process. Again, applicants that from a previous round will be able to access their original application to utilize the information to cut down on the administrative burden. However, there will be new questions, new information asked of you to demonstrate your technology type that can meet the priority broadband project if you're asking to be considered as a priority broadband project. So please go back through, review, and prepare your submission according to the updated round. And again, that RFA will be published to assist you along the way. And we'll also have that webinar too to help answer any questions that you have regarding the application process. FAQs, VCBB will publish a new FAQ document that includes responses to questions raised during this webinar, as well as those that were previously submitted, and will be updated as we go to include the RFA webinar. So please submit any additional questions that you have with regards to this new round. VCBB will continue to monitor those questions and have publications for the FAQ for responses. And we will post those updates as soon as possible so that we can provide a clear and transparent information about the updated program policies. Here are some resources for the BEAD Restructuring Policy Notice. So if you have not read this, I encourage you to go read the Restructuring Policy Notice. It does take away some of the compliance mechanisms in there. It strikes some of the sections from the original NOFO and things like that. So it is imperative that you read through that Restructuring Policy Notice. There is an SBLN Understanding the BEAD Restructuring Policy Notice presentation that is very helpful. And then NTIA FAQs, the first version of those that address the Restructuring Policy Notice. All right, Kay, Lexi, I will turn it back over to you all to handle any questions that arise.
Thank you very much. We are going to open it up for questions. We can take questions from the chat, or feel free to turn on your microphone. We have a couple of questions in the chat. So the first is, can you provide the date on which addresses will be finalized so that applicants know what they need to apply for?
So the date we're aiming for, Rob, is Monday. So we've just got a couple enforceable commitments we need to clean up. What's up there now is fairly accurate, but the plan is for Monday, and I will send out a note to the blast group, sort of per usual, to notify folks. So we want to encourage everyone to keep an eye on the website, but we will do our level best to make sure we're sending out proactively information as anything changes.
Thank you. Our second question. Oh, wait. Yes. Our second question is, can you confirm these will be fixed price subawards under CFR rules? If yes, can you share when you will publish the milestones for payments or if this is negotiable within each subaward? I can take that question. Yes, we do still intend to award fixed price subawards. Those milestones will be negotiated with each subrecipient selected.
While we wait for any additional questions, I do want to also note that on the website, you will see a sort of a survey link that we have put up there also to capture any questions that you might have and encourage folks to use that in particular, once we post that revised RFA on July 2nd, we'll certainly be wanting to get your questions and make sure we're answering them in what will be a new FAQ on the website.
Okay. We have one more question in the chat, and then we will take a question from Krista. The question is, will the broadband office accept a bid in batch form for multiple areas, or do applicants need to submit one application per area? In this case, our application system will be configured the same as for our previous round in our grants management system, Amplifund. So you will need to submit one application per area for which you are bidding. And go ahead, Krista.
If people decide to exclude addresses, how are you going to deal with that to try to get to 100%?
That is a great question. I'm going to pass that one off to Alexi.
So as we understand it from NTIA, under the rules, we VCBB, the state eligible entities, remain responsible for ensuring that all areas are covered. You may recall that we already had the provision within our volume 2 that in theory during negotiations, some areas could be removed. The plan for that will remain essentially the same, which is that if those need to go into a new project area and be bid out again, or in negotiations we can find a solution for that address, then that's how we'll handle it. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, so basically you'll deal with it between, well, I guess you'll deal with it sometime between July 18th and August 13th or something like that.
That is the plan.
Okay. And it says public comment window on Vermont BEAD final proposal. Oh, never mind. Sorry. Never mind.
Yeah, there remains a mandated public comment period under the policy notice.
And I can't take my hand down. I've hit the button several times, so sorry.
No
I don't know how to get rid of it.
I can get it. Okay.
I have another question in the chat. The Senate Commerce Committee last week released its version of the budget reconciliation bill, which includes provision that ties BEAD to funding to the House-passed 10-year ban on state AI laws. In other words, the federal government could potentially deny states their BEAD funding if they decide to regulate AI and interstate commerce. Is there any comment from the VCBB on BEAD funding since VT appears to be regulating AI? I'm going to guess we have no comment, but I'm going to pass this off to our legal counsel if she is available for comment.
Yes, thank you, Kay. Well, obviously, this is a very concerning issue. It first popped up several weeks ago, and the consensus was that this was, not possible. This wasn't going to happen. But now it appears to be gaining steam, and VCBB is looking into what we can do to make it clear that obviously, we don't think our BEAD funding should be conditioned on this moratorium.
Thank you, Tony. Another question in the chat, has there been any further insight on when the rules for community anchor institutions and or non-deployment purposes will be released?
There have not. We continue to be informed that guidance is coming, but we do not yet have it.
Hold for a moment for additional questions or comments. As questions or comments come up, feel free to visit our website where there is a survey link and you can submit your comments to us there. Well, if there are no further questions or comments, I'm gonna leave it to Alexi and Christine to make any final comments, and then we will. Oh, yeah. Can you please review the deadlines one more time? So we'll pass it off to Alexi for that.
Sure. Let me see here. Get it to the slide. Share my screen. So also just for awareness, these slides are on the website as well, and actually this particular slide is also linked separately. So you have it for reference, but this is what we are currently looking at. And so as noted, this is obviously a pretty compressed timeline. We welcome any comments on it. But we believe this is what can get us to the finish line in the time that we have been allotted.
Thanks for putting that in the chat as well, Jen. Okay, any final thoughts from Alexi or Christine?
Yeah, I'll just thank everybody for joining the webinar, and we look forward to your applications, and we're excited to move forward. We recognize this is an aggressive schedule. We're happy that that our team has continued to stay focused on this schedule all along, which means we believe we can achieve this schedule successfully and get to universal service for Vermont with all your help. Thank you.
And I would just close by saying, please don't hesitate to use the vcbb.bead email address. We are here and eager to answer questions and provide the information that we can as we have it.
Thanks again, everyone. I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording. And as a reminder, once we finish the webinar today, in a day or two, you should be able to find the recording as well on our website.